Andrew Levy from Brand New Heavies. Welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you.
We're chatting because you're coming out to Australia in February, celebrating 30 years since the release of the Brother Sister album, playing the album in full. Before we talk about that, I wanted to go way back. Where did your love of funk and soul come from, and what were the albums that you grew up listening to?
Do you know, my earliest memory of hearing, because my parents are Jamaican, so there was a lot of reggae from quite a young age in the sort of very late 60s, early 70s. But my uncle, who was also Jamaican, was really into James Brown. I remember the first time hearing Stax and Motown and all that kind of soul stuff, which I thought was really cool because he wasn't just into reggae. So I kind of veered towards that a little bit. And I'd start listening to it again. It started getting played a lot in the late 80s and within this rare groove, which is a sort of 70s funk revival club scene in London. And because the music is so open and you can really hear the bass and the drums and all the different instruments quite separately, I used that. It kind of inspired me to learn how to play the bass. So it was around that time I picked up the bass around sort of 85, 86. And soul music seemed pretty cool. So I started learning how to play funk, and just for fun, really. And and the rest is history. You know, we got picked up by a label, and they liked the fact that we were playing instruments. We weren't just doing covers. We were writing our own stuff as well. So that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah. Who came up with the band name, Brand New Heavies?
We were just about to sign our first record deal with Chrysalis Records, 88, and we didn't have a band name because we're just detached from another band, and we didn't have a band name, so we were flicking through. We used to listen to a lot of vinyl when we were writing and jamming, and on the back of a James Brown album, we saw this line where he called himself the minister of the new super heavy funk. So we just kind of rearranged the words and called ourselves the Brand New Heavies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an update from where he was. So
Yeah.
that's how the name came about. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you started playing the London clubs in this acid jazz scene, what kind of clubs were they? How
There
many?
were nightclubs mainly,
Yeah.
discos, disco nightclubs. So we grew up in that whole nightclub scene. We were never playing in pubs or trying to get gigs in traditional live music venues. It was always clubs and discos. And that really shaped our sound, I think, because we were just big lovers of disco at the time, which was just pop music at the time. And hip hop started to come in. You can hear that a lot in some of our beats on most of our music, especially Heavy Rhyme Experience album. But yeah, we used to play at makeshift clubs. The whole warehouse rave scene was just starting as well in the UK. And we were very close to a lot of the pioneering DJs like Judge Jules and Norman Jay, people like that. And they used to invite us down with our equipment and just to do a little jam in front of the audience. And yeah, we were very untraditional band in terms of our sort of rise to popularity.
Yeah. So 30 years since your great album, Brother Sister, was recorded. What are your memories of the recording sessions?
Fun, lots of fun.
Yeah.
Lots. It was just bliss because we were very young. We were probably 23, 24. And you know, being flown to we were flown to Hollywood, Los Angeles, Sunset Boulevard in a hotel. We met my first time meeting the Bangles bass player. All this from a tiny suburb in West London, and you're just thrown into this whole new world. It was just with your mates from school. It was just bliss. Some of the best times I've ever had, I think. Then we just thought, oh, then maybe this is normal, and we just sort of got used to it. And spent a lot of time in America because our main record label was Delicious Vinyl, who are a US label. but mainly fun. You know, before the mortgages and the kids and the wives and stuff, it's always the best time because you've got nothing else to worry about. And I
Yeah.
remember spending a whole day in my studio in London, just working out one bass line for one song. It's a song called Day by Day, actually. It's on Shelter,
Yeah.
our second album. But yeah, there's the days where you can just really let go of everything and just do music, you know.
Yeah. Did you record together as a band or record your parts separately?
We did a lot. A lot of it was done together. Some of the more serious tracks that were chosen as singles, we did overdub, quite a lot of overdubbing. But all the songs were written and created with bass and drums, and then keyboards, guitar. But a lot of it, there's a song called Fake on Brother Sister and People Giving Love and Spend Some Time as well. They were all done with the rhythm section
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
Just easier and quicker, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I particularly love your bass playing on Midnight at the Oasis. There's so much movement and groove on that one. Did you play around with many different versions of the way you played that once, or did you know?
Yeah, we had a version. There was a version before that. I think they might have added it to the re-release of the Brother Sister re-release album. But yeah, we went through. We got asked to do a cover as a kind of safety net for the record label, which is fine. But we just didn't want to do anything that was really traditional and soul based, and you know, a typical cover for a soul funk band. And a friend of mine, Lascelles Gordon, who was another guitarist in the band before he left, just had this track. He does lots of mixtapes as a DJ as well. So he gave me this mixtape, and that song was on it, and I always loved it. And I thought, let's do something different, but metamorphosize it into the Brand New Heavies funky style. And the record label loved it. It was actually one of our biggest ever, you know, songs. But there is another version. I don't know where it is at the moment, but the version that we actually ended up using was slightly different. But yeah, that's one of our pluses is that we can just come up with a groove, like a live remix of something. We're very good at doing that.
Yeah. What about bass players in particular that you've admired over the years?
I've admired a lot of bass players, not knowing who they were called. But I now realize that Bootsy Collins was one of the funkiest bass players in the early funky James Brown era. It's Bootsy Collins, you know, and also Larry Graham because he was a bit more rocky and a bit crazier and had amazing sounds. I love Larry Graham. I'm just getting back into him actually at the moment. And also Marcus Miller, who's a fan of mine, he told me, which I still can't believe. I
Well,
met him at this. I met him at this bass guitar player fair in London at Earl's Court, and I was doing this masterclass thing, and yeah, he said that I was his favorite bass player. I can't even really play the bass compared to him, so I was really flattered by that. But yeah, Marcus Miller, the sound of the jazz, and he's not one of these crazy slap bass players. It's very conservative, and it only slaps the strings or pulls the strings when it's necessary. Also, Mark King is a big fan of. I'm a big fan of Mark King's as well.
yeah.
But yeah, you know, all the jazz guys, you know, there's a label called ECM as well. There's lots of amazing musicians on that, including bass players. But
Yeah, I was fortunate to see Marcus Miller about 3 weeks ago. He was out here. Um,
wow, yeah, he's a busy man, busy man.
yeah. So your bass rig back in the day compared to now, is it much different?
Um, I mean, I've just got very used to this TC Electronic Blacksmith, which is it's a very nice bass head. Um, I usually just play what my endorsees, what I'm endorsed by, because for me, it's all about the sound and the way I play creates the sound. As long as it's loud enough, and it doesn't break down, and it's reliable. I'll tend to play anything, but I'm very stuck on this TC Electronic Blacksmith right now.
Yeah.
It's a
What's
1600 watt amp. Go on.
I'll I'll let you finish talking about the amp. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a the amp is a 1600 watt nominal wattage, which means that it peaks at 4000 watts, which you need that headroom. You see, I like having a lot of headroom because sometimes when I get a bit frustrated on stage, I'll just whack up the master, and that can overheat the amp sometimes. So it's nice to get. I love amps that have a big, a very high headroom. Um, but yeah, for me, it's just having this reliability. All my sound really comes to my fingers and the actual guitar. You can have hundreds of pedals and very expensive EQs and stuff like that, but I find that if you haven't got the sound right on the guitar itself, coming out raw, then you're never gonna be comfortable. You're always gonna be twiddling knobs and stuff.
Yeah. So, what is your main bass these days, and is there any story behind how you acquired it?
Um, I've got I've got two main basses. I'm actually playing a Squire PJ, which is a combination of a precision and a jazz bass. It's a very cheap bass, even though probably spent more on the pickups than the pickups are worth more than the guitar because I like active pickups. But I just bought that from a guitar shop. My other bass is a jazz. My other two basses is a jazz relic. It's like a remake of a 70s Fender Jazz. And I've had that for about 20 years now, 21 years. And that was given to me. I get given a lot of stuff. I don't keep a lot of it, but that relic Fender Jazz bass is incredible. It just feels nice and looks nice, and again, reliability. I've also got a Warwick Streamer Stage One, which is a custom paint job. It's gold fleck. I've had that since probably 96. I think I got that. And I switched to that on a few songs like "You Are the Universe." But that's a lovely guitar. Warwick basses they haven't got a lot of character, but they're so perfectly made, and the tone tends to cut through. If you've got a loud, busy band like ours, you need that EQ of the bass to cut through, and that's what that bass does. Yeah, it's just I think it is stage one. Yeah, stage one streamer from Warwick.
Yeah. There's a promotional photo I've seen of you. It looks like you're holding a grey acoustic bass. It looks like an Ovation guitar. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yes, I've got it. It's right over there in its case. Yeah, I bought that. It must have been. I think it was night. It actually appears in the video for Dream on Dreamer. We shot that in Jamaica. We were working and mixing the album in LA. And yeah, I got that. That's probably 92. I bought that. Just wandering down the high street in West Hollywood, and I bought it. Still got that. And we used it. I use it a lot for radio promotion where they don't want the whole loud slashing, crashing band in the studio. So I played that mainly in studios, radio studios and stuff like that. But it's nice, that I've kept hold of all my equipment from the past. I'm now teaching my son, who's 12, to play the bass, and he loves that guitar.
Yeah. Playing the Brother Sister album on stage 30 years later, I suppose now the element of nostalgia comes into play. Are you finding that crowds are reacting even bigger now than what they did in the day?
Yes, they are. I mean, they're just so pleased that we're still playing. A lot of fans, because we haven't really stopped gigging throughout the whole since the 90s. But our audiences are probably three times as big as they were because we're with a new label and they've re-released the album. So people are so surprised that we're still playing. But they just love I mean, they love all the hits and stuff, and I'm not sure if they like the tracks that they're not that familiar with that are on the album. But it's nice. It's a nice, authentic thing to do to play the whole album in sequence. But they go, I mean, they go nuts for songs like "Spend Some Time" and "Back to Love" and all that sort of stuff. Even "Stay This Way," which is off our first album, they love. But our music does create a sense of wellness and positivity and happiness, and you can really see that in the crowd. I mean, they go nuts.
So when you look back at your career, what are your strongest memories?
Um, I think just ending up being that big in America for a band from the UK, which is it's a very tough market to crack, and we managed to do it because we were so oblivious to the difficulty, and we're very authentic, and we didn't really care about whether we're going to be successful or not because it was just fun. We started it out of fun, and we just got very, very lucky. So my biggest memory was just how much fun we had touring around the world, and shopping in thrift stores and collecting clothes and guitars and records and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the
So
freedom that we had, that we were given from the record label, also to produce our own stuff. I think they just let us get on with it because they weren't sure exactly what sort of genre we were coming from. So I got to learn a lot about making music and how to run a studio and produce and write songs and thing. Yeah, it's a very creative time, very, very fun time.
yeah. So what does the future hold for Brand New Heavies?
So we've got a new show that's got an orchestra as part of it to play all the disco strings and everything. So we're just trying to, change up the our show a little bit, so it keeps it interesting for us to play and keeps it interesting for the audience. We do have 3 albums that we're working on at the moment.
Three.
One is a new heavy rhyme experience album, which is going to be live funk and hip hop and rapping and stuff. And we've got another live album we're recording and a new studio album that should be out after the re-release of Shelter, which is going to be next year.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, it's been great to chat, and we look forward to seeing you down in Australia very soon.
Thank you so much for inviting us on this show, and we're definitely looking forward to coming back to Australia. Thank you so much.